Hello everyone, welcome back to Decidedly Vanilla on the 5th Choice server. My name is Pixlriffs and we're going to be spending today over at the Nameless Ruin, but not quite yet because I've been working on something a little different this week. I discovered a Mega Taiga biome a while back, hence the Podzol, and I've been building a safe path over to it through the Nether, which has taken many forms so far. There was an original one which was a series of cobblestone bridges which took you from around here. It went through this section of the Nether originally, but then there are a couple of places where it diverted, and I've been working on making this as straight as I possibly can, mostly so people can find it in an efficient manner. Secondly, so it doesn't go through a nether fortress, which my original path did. And thirdly, so I can put down a bunch of rail and make it faster to get out here, because it is a bit of a trek. I think it's something like 800 blocks through the nether, which is not necessarily a distance you want to run, even though I'm kind of doing it now, but is definitely something that could be improved by the addition of a rail system. I mean, Bam has his tunnel down there out towards the Guardian Farm, the Gold Farm, and his wastelands, which would be not inaccessible without rails, because we've definitely all done it a couple of times, but it would definitely be a chore to get there without rails. So wanting to make this Mega Taiga open to the community a little bit more, because everybody deserves the opportunity to go and collect some Podzol at some point, and I know I've been taking a little bit, but it's only my fair share. You know, I've not really been taking a huge, because there is a large amount of Podzol out here, but I think it should be possible for everybody to go and collect at their leisure, basically. So this is also a massive, massive nether fortress. I encountered this as I was making my way out here, because I found the Mega Taiga originally just by travelling over land, and I figured out the coordinates in the nether, came back through here, raided this entire fortress, got a bunch of stuff. I still don't have any wither skulls, and I really want to get a beacon for the Nameless Ruin at some point, which is not going to happen right now, but it's definitely something I want to pursue in future. But I want to develop the region a little bit first, so I'm occasionally coming in, farming wither skeletons, seeing if I can get any heads. I don't have any heads right now, but I'm not in a rush. So this is the Mega Taiga, and this is the kind of temporary portal setup I've got right now. I'm pretty sure I'm going to keep the portal where it is, because I've done this kind of spruce tree growth thing around it, just to kind of hide the portal, you know, because it's a little bit unsightly in this area. But this place is huge. This stretches for probably 200-300 blocks in each direction, so it's pretty sizable, and there are pretty big patches of Podzol. What I've been doing, aside from I gathered a little bit from around here, because I wanted to. This was originally kind of a hill with a cave in it, and I wanted to hollow it out a little bit because that's where the nether portal was going to go, and also just to make the area a little bit safer, so you weren't being snuck up on by monsters as soon as you left the portal. But there are definitely sections around here which have rivers that I figure people could, if they didn't want to damage the landscape too much, they could take from the edges of rivers, because that was what I was doing before, was just kind of trimming off sections here and there. The bunnies around. Oh, hi bunnies. I feel like I should be against bunnies in general now, but I haven't seen them for a while because we've killed all the ones around Freehaven, and there are definitely a few still around, but I think they're kind of keeping their distance. The ones with the red eyes and the yellow... Oh, the white fur, and that one just pushed the other one off, so evidently there's some kind of turf war going on. I should probably be careful. Those ones are the ones we've marked out as evil and to be killed, and the rest of them we may be trying to breed back up again as a population, because it is nice to have animals around, especially considering that I want to open a restaurant for rabbits. We may end up breeding them at some point. But what I was going to do while I was here is collect a bit of Podzol, because I want to be able to use it in the Nameless Ruin. So I'll grab the Queen of Spades out of my ender chest. I named my sword the Ace of Swords as well, which is a tarot card as opposed to like a regular playing card, but my bow is already called Temperance, which is another tarot card, so I figured it fit. They've all got card-themed names right now anyway. So I'm going to gather a bit of Podzol here to bring back to the Nameless Ruin, because I want to do a bit of landscaping today. I want to do a little bit more with the roads. I want to do a bit with some custom trees, because I've worked on a couple of those already. I think you guys will really like them. So I'm going to cut away for now while I gather a bit of Podzol just from the edges of here, just kind of trim around, not do anything too drastic. And I'll see you guys back at the Nameless Ruin, where we're going to do some landscaping work. So we're back, and the sun is about to rise over the Nameless Ruin in a couple of minutes. Yeah, you can just see the sky starting to redden in the distance, and I thought I would start a little early up here. I was going to start when it was daytime, but I've spotted a couple of mobs around, and oh, there's definitely one down there. They always come after the villagers. Is that a skeleton? That is a skeleton. Let me take him out from here. Sweet. I always start off up here. Oh, hope I don't set anything on fire. I don't think flaming arrows do that, do they? I wanted to start up here to see if I could spot any skeletons and get the sniper duel achievement, because I managed to get it on the last server, but it is really difficult because mobs end up... I thought I saw one over there. Mobs end up spawning at a distance of like 23 blocks, and then they go away if they're much further out than that. So it is really quite difficult to get because you have to shoot a skeleton from 50 blocks away. But they despawn more often than not before you can hit them. I have shot at skeletons a couple of times that I thought were the right sort of distance away, and they despawned right before the arrow got to them. So I've been trying really hard to get that achievement. I've been taking every opportunity I can, but obviously in this area it's a little bit difficult because it's quite heavily wooded. There's a lot of forestry around, and that is what we're going to deal with today, because I will be chopping down a bunch of these. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave stumps here and there, kind of the same way B-Ran does things, and I think he did it most recently when he was working for the OPC, chopping down, or was it the ABC? I forget. Chopping down the birch forest, and we all know who the ABC is, really, even though he tries to hide it. Or she. Do they? Do you guys know? I'm not really sure. Anyway, I'm going to leave stumps, is what I'm saying. I'm going to leave stumps around here, just so I know where the trees were in the first place, and that way if I want to restore them to where they were because I didn't like the look of them, a creeper may or may not have blown up here. If I want to restore them to the way they looked before, then I can. If I want to build on them and do something like these custom trees here, which are... Hello, you. Come on to blow up my custom trees. These are trees which I have expanded on from your standard Minecraft oak tree to make them look a little bit more natural, or what I think is more natural anyway. So I will probably do that to a couple of trees on camera here and show you what I mean. But we're going to start deforesting things, and I thought while I was here, and you're probably noticing from the title of the video, that I would do one of these Who Is episodes that everybody else is doing, because it seems like the time to do one. I don't want to be the person who does one 2 months late like I've forgotten or just not had the time. I was debating whether or not to do one in the first place because I've explored a little bit of my history with Minecraft and so forth in other videos. Like my 22 questions video on the last server, I feel like fulfilled this purpose, but I'm still going to try and expand on that if I can, whilst chopping down these trees, because it's quite a menial task to do. So I thought I would have something to talk about while I did. So, for those of you who don't know, my name is Jonathan. I go by Johnny most of the time, or Pix and Pixel and so forth. Like I've been getting incredibly used to people calling me Pix, which is funny because I guess other people in this community, like Paige, for example, Paige is not her real name, but she chooses to go by Paige and is more comfortable being called Paige amongst us than she is with us using her real name, I think. And I think that's kind of cool. I like the idea that you can take on a different identity with this kind of stuff, and Pixlriffs is not a name I have had before. It's one I made up completely for this project, for this Minecraft experience, and I really like it now. I've definitely grown very fond of it. It's kind of stems from the fact that I had an old YouTube project called Riffs, which was a kind of weekly songwriting project where I'd go to Wikipedia and click random article and write a song about the first thing that came up. It's still around, you can see it if you want to see me singing terribly and playing instruments somewhat adequately. But I kind of kept the riffs element from that because I like the word riffs, even though a few people have said that Pixlriffs is a bit of a mouthful at first. I find that it's easy enough to get around once you have said it a few times, and people seem to like the name. Like, and Pix and Pixel are kind of reasonable shortenings of that. Like, I like that it's a name that you can almost nickname. Anyway, my video game history kind of started with the Sega Mega Drive back in oh goodness, it must have been sort of 1993, I suppose. And I know most of the significant games for the Mega Drive came out in the early 90s, like Sonic the Hedgehog, I think, came out in 1991. I saw that on one of those history of 1990s kind of programs on Channel 4 at some point, I think. It was the same year Nirvana came out with Smells Like Teen Spirit, Sonic the Hedgehog came out on the Mega Drive, and I was not a grunger by any means because I was probably about 7, but I was instantly a gamer, and I'd played a couple of games before. Bam is here, hello! It's very early in the morning for me, so it's very late at night for him, so I wonder what he's up to. I will give him a wave. Wave! I've learned to wave recently. It's quicker to type than pretty much anything else, and he seems to do it all the time. So, I started on the Mega Drive, and you guys will probably know it as the Genesis if you're American, but I started with that, and I was instantly kind of addicted to this world of colourful lights and energetic music. Sonic the Hedgehog was a fantastic game, and didn't require as much of the same platforming skill as something like Mario, because Mario was that game where you had to be careful about jumping on platforms and whereas Sonic was all about getting from left to right as fast as possible, give or take. Now, I still remember pretty much every inch of Sonic the Hedgehog 2, and I was one of those people who could get through the first couple of levels and then be supersonic almost instantly. Like, I could get all of the Chaos Emeralds by the end of Emerald Hill Zone, that kind of thing. So I was definitely really, really into it, but I could not afford to buy a lot of other games. So I played the Mega Drive games I had to death. I had a few others. Mainly it was Sonic the Hedgehog. I think I had Mortal Kombat at one point, which my parents did not wholly approve of, but there you go. And there were a couple of games like that I used to play with my friends. I played a couple of PC games as well. I got into StarCraft when I was about 11, that kind of thing. I played a few, not really like online matches, but you know when StarCraft used to have a bunch of mini-games that they'd made using map creators? That kind of stuff. That was what I used to play. I never really played like ladder matches or kind of get ranked in player versus player combat because I sucked strategically. I was 11. And obviously there are people now who play StarCraft professionally and do fantastically well at that. I think that creeper has destroyed part of a tree here, so I'm going to kind of restore that so I know more or less what's going on. And what I wanted to do was make it look like these trees were at least going into the ground where they have the opportunity. Let's pop some dirt back in there. Good. Okay, that should grow over with grass again, shouldn't it? So I was playing video games and stuff for a while, but I went to university at the usual sort of age people do in this country, sort of 18, and I got a degree in music production. And I've been dabbling in music for a while. I kind of done instruments and stuff. I can play the saxophone and the guitar to a competent standard, but I never really kind of went super far with them. Like, I had this idea as a kid that I was going to go to university, start a band, become a rock star, you know, all that kind of stuff. And it became quickly apparent once I reached music college and started studying to record music that I was outclassed by most other people. I was not an incompetent engineer when it came to recording stuff, but I was definitely not the best, and I lost focus quite easily. It was not helped by the fact that a lot of my lecturers basically told me it was not told me, but told the students in general that it was very difficult to get a career in music technology because a lot of major studios and so forth were shutting down because they just didn't have the clientele available anymore. Home recording is so much easier now, and I think it's evidence in the fact that pretty much anybody, including me in this case, can put together like a competent video of them playing Minecraft or playing any other kind of game. Like, YouTube Let's Play channels have become hugely available to people, and people are just able to create these videos whenever they want now. And that's the same kind of situation in music recording, in that everyone's got this home recording software that they can make their own singles on, they can make demos, and then the only difference between that and a sort of small-time studio where bands would normally go and record a demo is that they would have to pay loads more for a studio, so they don't do it. And so studio jobs are just becoming fewer and further between, so it wasn't really possible to get a job in that field unless you were absolutely excellent and willing to work for pittance until you became sort of a senior member of the team in that studio. So that was the kind of career path that just wasn't going to suit me, because I don't like waiting around for stuff to happen necessarily. So I kind of abandoned that as an idea pretty early, which is kind of sad in a way, but I still have a degree in music production, and I still use my music production skills occasionally. Like the stuff I do here on YouTube, I try and make sure the audio quality is the best it can possibly be with the equipment that I still have, because I've sold a bunch of it since I stopped doing studio recording of any kind, aside from the occasional project with Clandle and Kane these days, and expect a couple more of those, because we've got one on the way and it's awesome. But I still occasionally record chiptune music and things like that. I feel like that has kind of come full circle with my first love of gaming, and it kind of marries the love I have for gaming and music, keeps my recording skills and programming skills vaguely up to scratch, and allows me to make music that I've occasionally had on this channel. I've been using it a little bit when I live stream as well, and I have this kind of small, modest back catalogue of chiptune music that I've made, which I kind of hope to expand on in future, but it's not like a priority for me right now. It's quite time-consuming. It's a little bit difficult to be inspired, to find the right kind of melodies and things like that that will work, to get the right vibe in a song. And so it's not something that I'm actively pursuing right now. But I came to Minecraft whilst I was working at my last job, and I've been watching a couple of videos for a while. Like Kane, I kind of got into the Yogscast. He mentioned this in his recent video where he does the Who Is Kane83. And I got into the Yogscast. I started watching, I think, Martin first, although I'd heard of Simon Lewis and I'd seen a couple of their videos before. I think Kane might even have showed me a couple of them. But I really got into the way Minecraft looked after seeing a couple of their heavily modded series, like stuff in the Yogbox, when that was kind of a major pack, and I think it's still around a little bit, but it's not nearly as popular as it used to be. But I used to watch Martin doing a couple of things. I think I watched his playthroughs of Ni no Kuni as well, because that was a game I really liked the look of at the time. I really love Studio Ghibli films in general, so I kind of wanted to watch that, and not owning a PS3, I wasn't able to play it. I think it was for PS3 anyway, I can't remember. I kind of lose track of the console generations. But anyway, I only had a PS2 until about a year ago. A friend of mine at work gave me his Xbox, and another friend, at the time I was mainly playing stuff like Gears of War, sort of games I could borrow from friends. I played through Tomb Raider, and it was my first like proper, more recent games console, having had a PS2 for so long. And then another friend at work lent me his gamer tag, basically, because he had upgraded to PS3 or PS4 by this point, and he said, well, I don't need my gamer tag anymore, I've not got an Xbox One. Yeah, he definitely got a PS4, and he decided to lend me his gamer tag, and on this was a copy of Minecraft. And so I thought, well, I've seen this game played, I know the appeal, I know vaguely how to play the game, although I wasn't entirely sure of stuff like enchanting and potions and what happened when you went to the nether and that kind of stuff. And the creepers have come out. Let's try and snipe a couple of these guys while we can, just in case. And so I picked up Minecraft for Xbox, which I mentioned a few times on my channel before, and was just instantly in love. I was playing it almost constantly, and at first it was a survival game for me. I've only come to building stuff recently, but I loved creating my own house, exploring the world, that kind of thing, fighting stuff, and I was slowly kind of getting the hang of it. And then I started watching Kane's videos around the same time, because I think that's around the time he started his Vanilla project. He was doing a couple of videos with Clandlewoods. Those were coming out on a semi-regular basis, and then he started Decidedly Vanilla. And I thought that was kind of awesome. And I didn't want to join DV immediately, but I kind of thought, well, if I got in with that group at some point, I could do some cool stuff. I'd been building enough stuff on Xbox at that point that I thought, yeah, I can kind of hold my own in a Minecraft scenario. I'd like to think I could, and I'm going to improve this tree. I think that's probably going to be the next step. But I wasn't sure if I could make videos, and then obviously I didn't have a PC set up at this point. I was primarily playing video games on console, and I did not have any kind of decent computer setup. So Kane, as I've mentioned several times before, basically gave me one of his old PCs. And that is the same machine I'm playing on today, although we have made a lot of improvements to it since in terms of the hardware and stuff. But if you watch some of my older videos on this channel, you will find that my recording quality is not the best. I'm recording in 480p because it couldn't really render anything better than that. And here's how I improve trees. Quick side note, here's how I improve trees. Make them droopy. That's pretty much all I can recommend, is make them droopy. If you're working with a tree that already exists, if you're working with like an oak tree like this and you just want to give it a quick, simple kind of a bit of a different aesthetic touch, something a little bit quicker, just add some leaves that stick out at the side like that. Maybe not quite like that, but give it dangles. Add some dangly bits, as we went through dangly bits a lot in my recent live stream, but that just looks so much better than your standard Minecraft tree, because it just has character now. Like it's not like wilting slightly, but it's almost doing that thing willows do, where the leaves just kind of hang down, and it's not impeding anyone's progress right now. You can kind of walk underneath it and so forth. That's kind of the vibe I'm going for. Dangly leaves. That's what trees around here should have. So there's kind of like a kind of forest canopy almost, where you can't see up through them so well, but then there's these bits dangling all around you. Anyway, back to what I was saying. I got Kane's old computer, and we've upgraded it since, and now I feel like I'm making YouTube videos to a kind of competent standard. I've always enjoyed making content for YouTube, as evidenced by the fact that I had this songwriting project a while ago, but now I feel like I've really hit my stride, and right now I am unemployed. I've mentioned this a couple of times, and I make no great secret of it. I really want to get myself back into work as soon as possible, but like Bambible said in his recent I think he said it in the Who Is Bam video, or it might be in one of his blogs, he just enjoys doing this so much that it's almost created this sense of this is productive and this is what I want to do for a job, except it's not making any money right now, but it feels like work because you're doing it so frequently. It's something you're putting a lot of your time and effort and passion into. That's what work should be. And that's the kind of work I want to find, which is perhaps why I've not got myself back into work so quickly. Not just because Minecraft is distracting me, but because I want to find a job that I can feel passionate about. And so much of the job listings I see just end up being a little bit soulless. And it's grunt work, it's menial, it doesn't feel like it has any real impact on the world and who I am and life. And that is possibly too hippy-dippy of a reason to be avoiding work. And I'm not avoiding it. I really want to stress that I'm not avoiding it. I just feel like I want to find something that's something I can get behind, something that's a career for me. This stuff is difficult to talk about. I don't do this all that often. And I like to talk about the game a lot more than I like to talk about myself. I'm kind of with Kane on that, in that I don't want to air my dirty laundry in public. I don't want to talk about what I'm going through, my emotional issues, anything like that. I just want to be able to make entertaining content. But for some people, hopefully this will be an interesting insight into who I am and what I do. On the technical side of things, I have a really weird computer setup because I've got all these recording, all this recording equipment from having done a music production degree. I record all my sound using my Mac, and I record video using the PC, and then I put the two together, which is probably a longer process than it needs to be, but I like to keep the PC free of other processes while it's running a recording program and Minecraft. These guys are after the villagers. I'm going to go and deal with them. just so I have a decent amount of processing power. My frames aren't going to drop all over the place because it's doing several things at once, that kind of thing. And I think it works pretty well for me so far, and I have the time to edit stuff and do something with the video, so I can make it a little bit interesting a lot of the time. Come on, zombie. This guy is evading me right now, and I'm having the hardest time trying to kill him. There we go. But I feel like I'm starting to hit the point where I can edit videos pretty quickly, so hopefully it shouldn't get in the way of general life and so forth. And now I'm reaching the point, I think, with Minecraft where this is a really silly phrase, and it's a phrase I thought of when I first created that temple. When I first created that temple over there, I didn't have any kind of reference pictures for this. I just knew I wanted this round temple with pillars out the front and a domed roof sticking out of a hillside. And I just sat down and I made it happen. And so this, at the time, this temple just came out of nowhere. And in my head, I just went, I have reached the fullness of my powers. And that just made me go, what did you just say? But I feel like that's almost kind of the case in a weird sort of way. Like, I have got to the point with Minecraft where I can bend these things to my will. I can make stuff. Get rid of that. I can make stuff that looks how I want it to look. I've started to get to that point where if I want to build something, I just have to kind of imagine it, and it comes into being. And I'm very happy with that, because that is the state I want to be at, where I can do stuff in Minecraft that seems almost effortless, I suppose, and I don't want it to feel like it's effortless because I don't want to be smug about it. I still want people to know that I put a lot of hard work into the stuff I do in this game. But it's kind of coming to the point where, yeah, I can think of stuff and build it. Now, with larger builds, that is more difficult. And I'm slowly working in creative to kind of build upon my skills when it comes to larger builds. Because a few people have said, you know, it would be interesting to see me tackle larger building projects. I mostly do small stuff, and I kind of want to see how I can do with stuff like that. So around here, once I've cleared out some more of these trees, and I realise I've not been doing it in a particularly efficient manner, I've just kind of been wandering around and waffling because I'm trying to talk and think at the same time. Once I've cleared out some more of these trees, I'm going to start plotting out where I want the major builds of this area to be. The temple was easier because of its location. I just had to kind of cut a hole into the mountainside and build stuff in it. And I almost want to make this a multifaceted kind of thing. So there are temple entrances on each of the sides as well. So there is one perhaps round that side there, there's one around the other side. Once I get rid of the villager breeder setup underneath, it will be easier to do that. And then have that mountain basically replaced by this towering central structure. That's kind of a long-term goal for this. It's nice and functional as it is right now. It's a good place for me to step out of a nether portal, be out of the way of mobs, observe my surroundings, find skeletons to shoot at, and generally prepare for whatever it is I'm doing here. But I kind of want to see if I can make this into some kind of towering monolith, and it would make sense, because right now this is relatively small. This doesn't feel like a temple people would necessarily come and worship at, because unless the population of the surrounding area was about 5, they would find it incredibly crowded. So I kind of want to develop that a little bit more, but I have a bunch of other ideas for builds around here. So it'll be interesting to see how this area develops. Now, I have not done anything down here. We are past the point of the video where I'm talking about myself. You may have noticed this. That is pretty much all I want to share about myself, and it's all I feel is relevant to the who is kind of thing. Who is Pixlriffs? Pixlriffs specifically, as opposed to a separate entity like from me, there really isn't that much separation. I know a lot of people affect a persona when they're on Minecraft. Kane was talking about it being a slightly more confident and outgoing and a slightly different version of himself. Dolin was talking about himself being an evil guy and how he's not obviously an evil guy in his general life. I think if he was, then we wouldn't be such good friends with him. But Pixlriffs is kind of just me. I don't have much of a separation between my Minecraft persona and my actual self. I do stuff in Minecraft, I want to share it with people, and that's just me. I don't really see how I can be different from that. And obviously there are ways in which I could affect a character and so forth, but I prefer things being somewhat genuine. So the question of who is Pixlriffs is the same question as who is me. Who am I? It's just who is me. That was really weird grammar. Anyway, moving on from that, because I'm obviously wittering around it now, I've done a little bit to make roots appear from this tree up here. And that's basically just logs, fences, and wooden buttons, which obviously don't do anything. They're an aesthetic detail. And I've done this in a couple of places around here, in a way that won't affect your progress through here, if anyone happens to walk through here. And I still need to work out what I'm going to do with these little shops, but broke the grass. I was messing around with this, and I really like this. I like corner entrances right now. I built one for the Pixlriffs design company, kind of with the window. I built one for my house. I built one on DV radio building last season, and this is what I've come up with. It's kind of like a turnstile entrance almost, because you can walk through it. You can walk through in either direction when you come out, but then there is a single gate that opens when you leave. And obviously you have to step over the pressure plate again, so that's not so good. I tried putting a button there, and I think in the long term a button might work better, just in case mobs come down here and just wander into this building, whatever it turns out to be. But for now, I think it works pretty well. I like that, and I like the fact that the fence gates open different ways. Like, this is the entrance, and this is the exit. So I might employ this a little bit more, because that way the doors, if I wanted to include doors in this, it would mess with my villager breeder setup. I think that's how it would work, because it's not that far away from the temple. I should probably count just to be sure, but it's not that far away from the temple, so that might mess a little bit with the villager breeding mechanics, because the village centre would be somewhere around here, and then they wouldn't want to breed. Bamv is going to the iron farm and AFKing. And I figure it's about time for me to shut up as well. So I'm going to do some more custom tree work around here. I'm definitely going to build up some of these. I'm not sure if I want to work with birch so much, because I feel like that doesn't make big trees well, but I haven't really tried that much, so I might give that a go. I'll definitely work more with oak, probably bring a little bit of dark oak over from this island, and the underground sort of shopping arcade pathway bit comes out here now, and I want to make a bridge to this central kind of island that's in the middle of the bay, this island that seems to be populated by virtually nothing, because I torched the place up a little while ago. So that's going to be long-term goals for this area. Get the trees down, this is short-term goals for this area, I mean, get the trees down, get a little bridge over to there. Bridge might end up having to be PBC approved. Hopefully the ABC won't have anything to do with it, although they're anti-birch these days. So we will see. Anyway, that is all. So from the Nameless Ruins recently deforested area, which is not very much. I should probably get some more of this done. Thank you very much for watching. My name has been Pixlriffs. I hope you've enjoyed learning a little bit more about me, and if you want to see more, please subscribe to my channel, leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you all soon. Bye for now.